So, Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram Bhakti Sadan chapter of Rajarajeshwari Nagar. So, we will continue with the Bhagavad Gita class. We have been currently doing chapter 14 in the sequence. We have covered up to, completed chapter 3 and we are in the chapter 4. We are in chapter 4. I think we will do today verse 15 and 16. Let's start with verse 15. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, 15th verse. Evam nyatva kritam karma purvair api mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. Evam nyatva kritam karma purvair api mumukshubhihi Kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. Synonyms. Evam, thus, nyatva, knowing well, kritam, was performed, karma, work, purvaihi, by past authorities, api, indeed, mumukshubhihi, who attained liberation, kuru, just perform, karma, prescribed duty, Eva, certainly, tasmat, therefore, tvam, you, purvaihi, by the predecessors, purvataram, in ancient times, kritam, as performed. Translation. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurudmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिने नामिने नम आचार्य पादाय निताय कृपा प्रदायिने गौरकथा दामदाय नगरक्षामतारिणे। Okay, so let's read the translation once again. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So the previous verse, just read the, we'll read the translation once, because here it's mentioning acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. So he's actually referring to the previous verse here. And what is that verse here? We will see. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So here it's very clear that distinction between Krishna and the normal jivas, however powerful they may be, right from the topmost demigod, just like in Brahma Samhita it is there, just like the Lord Brahma to the Andakupa, that means the smallest of the Indrakupa, like the lowest of smallest of living beings, from the topmost Brahma. So everybody actually are jivas, but here there's a clear distinction about the Lord and the jivas. And he says there is no work that affects me. He talks here in the previous verse about the four divisions of work and the four divisions of in the society and the associated activities for those four different classes of men. But he says, I am actually above all of those things and I have no aspiration for any fruitive activities. That's very important. That means there is nothing connected to karma for me. I am not a karmic person like any of you. My actions do not bind me. I am not bound by my actions. And then he says, one who understands this truth, that Krishna is far above all these things and he is actually the original proprietor of all of these things. The proprietor of the universe, the proprietor of the all the jivas, the proprietor of whatever that be, and the creator of all whatever that be. He is that person and he is not bound by any of the um, activities that he does. Like, he's not bound by this karmic activities. And he says, one who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So he's actually now starting to hint at something very important. He is slowly going from here, he will start going into, therefore, how is it that, how can work be performed without getting caught into this thing? So he's saying, one who understands me in that proper manner, that person will also be above this entanglement of karma. That's what Krishna is hinting at here. So having said that, next verse which we are dealing today, he's saying, all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. So therefore you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So we need to understand these things. All the liberated souls, that means those who are not bound by all these activities and therefore they are liberated also. But how did they act? They acted in that understanding of who actually Krishna is. You understand this, right? He says, I am not bound by these things and I am above all these things. So that understanding these people had and they were therefore liberated of his transcendental nature. And he says, therefore, Arjuna, don't keep your own interpretation of whatever you think I am or what is devotional life. No. You simply follow the footsteps of those who got liberated with the correct understanding. So this is what is being discussed in this verse. the subtle things, right? We need to be very careful. Yeah, you can read Bhagavad Gita, oh yeah, Krishna, wonderful person, oh, he wrote all these things. But even one sloka can actually reveal the position of Krishna if you really understand it in the way it has to be understood, actually hearing from the persons who are actually in that state, who have understood Krishna in the correct manner. That's very important. Otherwise, we can give so much gyan. But at the end of the day, all of that gyan will not help us to get liberated. It can be very nice oratory, discourse, everything is fine. But if you do not understand the super power nature of Krishna, and if you do not follow in the footsteps of those who have realized it in that manner, then all our understanding, all our oratory capabilities, everything is of no significance absolutely. So this is something which Prabhupada is again talking here. In this verse, he is talking more clearly, trying to elaborate on a couple of aspects here. So he is saying, there are these people who are basically caught up, like 99.99% of the people on this universe, who are all trying to enjoy or exploit the material nature for their own sense gratification. Okay, so this is one class of people. And then there are these other category who are completely liberated, who are highly elevated in spiritual realization. So he's first classifying these two, and he says this Krishna consciousness is meant for both these fellows, not someone who's only caught up in this material entanglement, and therefore to help him come to the stage of liberation, you take up Krishna consciousness, but others don't have to do anything. Those who are liberated don't have to be Krishna conscious. They are already one with God. That kind of a thinking is there, right? So here is saying both of these type of people are actually to be following Krishna consciousness. He says the first category, by doing that, that means those who are materially entangled, by following Krishna consciousness, they are actually gradually elevating themselves, just like all of us, wherever we were. He is talking about, full of impurities in the heart. So with full of impurities in the heart, maybe, some little bit of that impurity would have gone over a period of time when we have been trying to follow Krishna consciousness. The more we are trying, the more impurities will go away, like this. So it's a gradual process. Then the other category who are already liberated, that means all the impurities have got, they are perfectly situated in God realization or Krishna realization. He says, but such people, those who are already cleansed of the impurities, may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. That means those persons will also act. They will also act in Krishna consciousness. One is, yes, others will see them and follow. That's very important. Not for the sake of just for, the others, they are doing it also. That's the other thing. They are actually situated in that service mood to Krishna, that they want to actually perform these activities and also lead others to follow Krishna and take everybody out of their entanglement. That is one of the highest quality of a Vaishnava, that he is always worried about the others. Therefore, they walk the path so that everybody follows them in that direction. They can internally practice also. Generally, that's the other thing Prabhupada is actually attacking here, if I may say so. So Prabhupada is saying, therefore, if someone is realized, it's just that, they simply remain silent. They keep themselves, go to the Himalayas, sit and, whatever, their own, what do you call, they are situated in this trance of happiness, of Krishna consciousness or whatever. But that is not what is needed. He says one should actually act in Krishna consciousness so that people are able to try and emulate them, try to follow in their footsteps. And therefore he is saying, he is also taking this example of Arjuna. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. The same thing, those realized persons. It is not that therefore I am realized, so let me go and sit in the Himalayas and then do my sadhana. No, that is not what is recommended. One should act in service of Krishna. That's very important. Arjuna was engaged in the battlefield because Krishna desired. Krishna said, I wanted you to fight this battle and kill all these Kauravas. So that was Krishna's desire, and Arjuna was therefore acting in Krishna consciousness. That means trying to fulfill the desire of Krishna. Not that now I am realized, I have heard this Bhagavad Gita from Krishna himself. Now I am realized, life means this is what it is. Therefore, I don't have to do anything. I am Atma, I am not this body. Therefore, let me go and sit in Himalayas. Let me simply chant or something like that. No. Or whatever. Let me do dhyana or whatever. But here he is saying, he is encouraging Arjuna to act in Krishna consciousness. So that's very important. And Prabhupada is insisting on it. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field activities for the sake of Krishna. These are all very wonderful words. Engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. That's the most important thing. It's not simply saying you do some activity, some nonsense activity. No. You have to do activity, but those activities, if you understand, he's saying those people are acting, but they are also like me. That means not entangled in the results of those activities in the previous verse. So he's saying those people will continue to act, but they know the knack of not getting entangled within these activities. And those activities are actually Krishna conscious activities, which will help all the other jivas who's polluted in their hearts with material consciousness, that they are able to take up and follow in their footsteps. And therefore, Krishna is saying also, therefore, it is important that people should follow such people and not whimsically take up activities on their own, thinking, oh, this is Krishna consciousness, this is what is devotional life, this is spiritual life. No, I think this is how it is, I think it is how it is, I think it is. This I think business one should not have. Our thinking has not led us anywhere up to now. We have taken so many births in so many yugas, and all the 4 yugas, thousands of times, we are still sitting in this material world is proof that this I think philosophy does not work. We need to follow the previous acharyas who are actually not in the material platform and who are not bound by karmic reactions. They are already in the liberated state, but they do activities. So we need to look at such, first identify such acharyas and then try to follow in their footsteps. So Krishna is very clearly telling Arjuna this one. The Supreme Lord, to retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan. We saw that, right? I gave the signs to sun god Vivaswan, who gave it to Manu, then Ikshvaku. Like this, it is following in the thing. And he goes on to say, all the Raja Rishis also understood it this way. Again, he's insisting here, you simply have to follow in the footsteps of those who already understood it in the right manner. Understanding Krishna as he is. And also acting in that same mood. Working in Krishna consciousness and therefore not getting entangled and therefore being liberated. Many layers are there within this if you really see. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learnt this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as the past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. So that's the simple definition. Liberated means, here he is specifically talking about all those people who learnt it from Krishna, right from Vivaswan, like that in this parampara. They all got liberated, but they all continue to act in Krishna consciousness, and their liberation was also because they acted in Krishna consciousness, means doing all activities in relation to Krishna consciousness. So this is important. And sometimes, we just read these verses and okay, we just take, okay, there's nothing much in this verse, okay, right? This is not a very important verse. That way we tend to think, because we don't seem to understand the depth of what is meant here, and that's why Prabhupada's purport are so beautiful. Once we start seeing, then we are able to see the meaning of every word of the verse spoken by Lord Krishna. So that's very important. all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Very powerful words. Not simply acted, all the ancient souls followed my whatever I said. No, he's saying specifically my transcendental nature that they understood. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. That means he's saying you have to perform your duty, not simply sit anywhere. And Prabhupada is elaborating so beautifully to give practically, like how we also, right? Why this movement? Prabhupada is a realized person himself. If Prabhupada is realized, he could have simply sat in Vrindavan and simply done his bhajana, right? But Prabhupada never did that. He said, that's fine, I have got this mercy from my spiritual master, and his my spiritual master's desire, my spiritual master's anxiety is how all these people all over the world will get this message, how all over the world all these people will be able to act in Krishna consciousness, how to execute that. This was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's desire, and he instructed Srila Prabhupada that, no, you do this, you go and give this message to the Western world. You are a good educated man, you know good English, so you needed to go and spread this message to the Western English-speaking world. And Prabhupada meditated on this, following the Acharya, liberated person. And what was that following? Not simply sit in Vrindavan, but to do Krishna conscious activities. You see, perfectly Prabhupada followed. He followed what he preached. And he was very emphatic with all this understanding, and he took it forward, and he was infectious in giving it to his disciples also in the same way. So they are also continuing to go, whatever be their difficulties, whatever be, simply acting in Krishna consciousness, not simply retiring. Oh, Prabhupada used to say, those who retire, if you are 60, there's in material life we call, oh, you have retired. Prabhupada says there is nothing called retirement. There's nothing called retirement in Krishna consciousness. One needs to keep on acting in the service of Krishna. Prabhupada is very, very clear, and he did that. He did that till his very last moment. Prabhupada was acting in Krishna consciousness, leading people how to, the point mentions, those who have impurities in their heart, how to purify them, how to help them purify that process, that he be an exemplary example for all the people that are. So Prabhupada followed it exactly. And therefore, what it is for us, okay, wow, wonderful, Prabhupada followed everything, so great personality. So let me simply pray to Prabhupada and then, go and do my activities. No. Krishna consciousness means this moment, Prabhupada says very clearly, this is a preaching moment. He made it very clear that this idea of this is, we need to actually go and give this to everybody else. This is very important. Sometimes we say, oh, I myself don't know what to do. Whatever you know, you go and give. This is very important. Prabhupada said, whatever you know, you try to follow. You be sincere in following the 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds. If you do that, you already are following Krishna consciousness in a very good manner already. And then you should make an attempt to give whatever little you think you have, right? It's not that, you can know everything under, complete Bhagavatam, complete Bhagavad Gita, complete Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, endeavor should always be there. We should keep on improving, reading, understanding all that. But whatever we have learnt, we should try to go and share and give people this act in Krishna consciousness, so that other people will be benefited. So that's very important. This is the essence of what Prabhupada's movement is all about, that we should all sincerely act in Krishna consciousness and also set an example and strictly follow the previous acharyas, not create our own concocted versions of what it is. We should simply speak what Prabhupada has spoken. We should try to give that message what Prabhupada has given, not try to engineer or innovate something so newly on our own and try to, with over enthusiasm, try to, in the thought of trying to simplify things, because we are not realized persons. Therefore, if we try to give meaning to some things, then that will give a wrong impression. That may give a that what we think is the correct one is actually wrong. And if we go and give that to other people, then we are actually harming them. So that's very important. We should not try to engineer anything. You simply follow the system of parampara. Simply repeat what the acharyas have said. So that's very important. So this is, in a nutshell, verse 4.15. So maybe what is time now? 7:45. Maybe we can do 4.16 as well.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. We'll do the 4.16. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo api atra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajñatva mokshase asubhat. Synonyms. Kim, what is karma, action. Kim, what is akarma, inaction. Iti, thus. Kavayaha, the intelligent. Api, also. Atra, in this matter. Mohitaha, or bewildered. Tat, that. Te, onto you. Karma, work. Pravakshami, I shall explain. Yat, which. Jnatva, knowing. Mokshase, you will be liberated. Ashubhat, from ill fortune. Translation. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortunes. I'll read again. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Ashubhat. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. That is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku. And the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard action of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instructions of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the way of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Bhagavatam 6.3.19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of the great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahallada, Bhishma, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraja, Janaka, and Bali Maharaja. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of costless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Action in Krishna. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortunes. So this verse is in continuation of the previous one, what we discussed just now. Prabhupada is stressing more on how to take it from the previous acharyas. The point also is made in this verses. Even the most intelligent are bewildered in trying to understand what is action and what is inaction. That means, see, you say if you do some action, then there is some reaction. Therefore, should I conclude, therefore I should not do any action? That also you say no, you have to act. Therefore, how to act without getting entangled in the results? So that's the biggest question. And he says, even the most intelligent gets bewildered. And materially, what happens is these kind so-called most intelligent, material intelligent personalities, they are bewildered, and somehow they also try to give this bewilderment to others. So, with their intelligence, they try to overpower the other people who don't know anything. In the sense, not that they may do it wantonly, but because they are not in the parampara, because of their speculative thinking, and because of their brilliance in material uh, uh, abilities to explain, or oratory skills or whatever, they are able to mesmerize a lot of people, and therefore these people blindly follow this such people. Again, I am not saying they are doing it wantonly, but the problem is they are not taking it in parampara process, and therefore their intelligence make them believe that I am actually on the right path, and they very emphatically also preach it to the other people, and therefore the other people, because of these people's intelligence, they are also very easily attracted, and therefore they are going down the hill. This is very important. One should not be bothered about one's intelligence or whatever it is as far as material intelligence is concerned, but one should strictly try to follow the previous acharyas, who is all very clearly established. You don't have to go and speculate whether Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya or any of them are actually in this, uh, um, nobody questions that, right? Everybody immediately understands and accepts that. But there are so many other so-called gurus today who come, and why we take a chance with such people, it's very, very important. We should not be trapped in that kind of a illusionary realized person. So we should be very clear. There is already available uh, devotional school of authorities. All these acharyas who are established, who have uh, understood the scriptures not by themselves, but from their previous acharyas, from this previous acharya, like this up to. That's why here he is writing, no, from the ancient times to current times, this parampara is available. Why do we go elsewhere? And that's at a very, very big risk for all of us. We see so many people, they talk very nicely, but suddenly they make some loose talk which clearly exposes them who they are, what is their mindset, what is their understanding of the scriptures, and what is their understanding of who God is. Very, very clear. They are very hollow, but unfortunately, there are people who have no idea of what is actually the basic qualification for spiritual life. So they immediately get over impressed and go. That's more. Therefore, it is very important that who are in the parampara should very emphatically go and preach this message. They should not be fearing, oh no, no, such so and so guru is actually on all the televisions and he is actually so great. How can I say something which may be little different from what he is saying? How will people accept me? No, you have the authority of the great acharyas behind us. You simply go and say without fear, this is what it is. And if you can counter all these other fellows, if they are saying something wrong, just don't, we should not hesitate, because we need to establish the correct dharma. That's very important. Why did Prabhupada take so much pain going in that age to go and give this knowledge? And if we are taking it, if we have that gratitude for Prabhupada, we should simply not worry about anything. Prabhupada is there. Whatever he said, you simply say. He never feared anybody. He used to call everybody, whoever is giving wrong thing, he used to call them rascals. He never feared. And you take only, you don't say yourself anything. You simply say, Prabhupada said this. So Prabhupada used to say rascal, but he will say, it's not that I am calling you rascal, because Krishna says that such persons are rascal. So like that, you take the authority of Prabhupada and say, it's not that, I am so great. No, I am nobody in front of all these intelligent persons. But I am simply a foot soldier of Srila Prabhupada, and I am his, what do you call, mouthpiece. I am simply saying what he is saying. Just be that speaker, loudspeaker, which talks what Prabhupada has written all over the, entire commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and just go and give the pure message of Godhead. And that's how Prabhupada, He did simply that, simply followed, and therefore he became so successful. And our job is simply to follow in that footsteps. So that he's talking here, that you should follow the previous acharyas. And again, he's also saying why people cannot manufacture anything. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. That means whatever the Lord says is actually the actual dharma. Not that you manufacture some dharma. No, we cannot manufacture with our intelligence any dharma. The dharma means is what the Lord says. And what the Lord says is being spoken by his pure devotees, and our job is simply to repeat that. That's what it is. And he's saying there are so many of these personalities, like here it is talked about who are the authorities: Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumaras, Kapila, Prahalad, Bhishma, Sukadeva Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. So any system which is coming through from these paramparas are all authorized. Any system which is coming, like if you say Sukadeva Goswami, from that it is coming. We are all listening to Srimad Bhagavatam from what Sukadeva Goswami has given us, right? So why to go and take a big risk by speculating or following someone who's just suddenly got realization in this life, right? Who suddenly says, I was sitting somewhere and then suddenly I felt I am part of everything. That's all. Now I am God now. And then I will give you all whatever I know. And everybody, they dance to their tunes. No. Don't be misled by such personalities. Here is there. The Lord is very clearly saying, follow these personalities: Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, Kumaras. So like that. So we need to follow in the parampara process. So we will finish here. It is 7:56 already. So if there are any points, any questions, any clarifications, or anything that devotees want to add, most welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for the clarity on from whom one can learn. So we have been learning. I have been learning through TV serial, cinemas, or any so-called opulent person or rich person, that way.
Yeah.
Gives clear idea towards from whom one should inquire.
Yes.
The second thing from 16th verse, though Arjuna is so capable or intelligent, even he himself bewildered. So these two things are really wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very nice point, Prabhu. Yes. We are
Simply we can follow you all. Our job is done.
We all follow Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, that's all. All of us follow them.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Nice. Simple. Krishna consciousness is very simple, but we can make it very complicated. So it's all in our mind, but Krishna consciousness is simple. Simply follow. Don't have to do anything special. Simply follow the Acharya, what he has said. If Guru Maharaj is saying, you go down preach, or you do this, you do this. If you simply do this, taking that as your most important instruction, you can go back to Godhead. You don't have to think, I have to do so many these things. No, not necessary. You simply follow the Acharya's instruction. And they are empowered. They know what they are telling. And simply by following, even if he gives a very small instruction, if you follow that earnestly through your life, you can go back. In terms of how to serve the Lord, if he gives a specific thing or says, he says, Prabhupada had given me so many instructions I am trying to fulfill. And why don't you all help me in whatever, any of those things which interest you, right? He's not saying you have to do this only. He's saying I have, some 50, 60 instructions and I am trying to please Srila Prabhupada by accomplishing them. You simply help me do those things. That's our service to Guru Maharaj. If you are able to take up something in that, sincerely, of course, you have to follow the 16 regulative principles and the the chant, the minimum 16 rounds. That way, that basics are taken care of. Beyond that, whatever instruction the spiritual master gives, of course, it also includes, he is also saying, please all of you read Srimad Bhagavatam, read Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's books are most important you read. So those are all will form part of the basic sadhana. But beyond that, what can we do? And if he's giving any specific instruction like this preaching or do this particular project, whatever, if we put in our full endeavor in that, that is perfectly devotional service. We need to follow that way. Yes, Prabhu. Nice. Thank you.
Another 15th verse, there are two category of people. So I'm realizing I may be before, if there is any category, I am falling, before that.
Within that there are so many levels of highest impure, highest pure. So in between everything. So yeah.
Simply only two categories.
Yeah.
So there is a category before that also.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, any other thoughts, any other questions?
Thanks, Prabhuji. Nothing from my side, but just thanks for keeping it very simple and to the point, Prabhuji. Thanks for that, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
If you allow me, can I have one sort of anecdote quickly?
Please,
yes.
Go ahead.
So, Prabhuji, just for others' information, and I mean, probably, that will be helpful. So, this happened to somehow managed to send one Bhagavatam set, Marathi Bhagavatam set to my native place.
Haribol.
Okay, this happened some months back, and it happened. Okay, and then it went there. Now I was just wondering, I kept it in my house, and then villages, the houses are very nearby. Like the doors are almost like within each other. So then my brother told, okay, whoever want Bhagavatam, they can issue the copy and like a library like thing. So interestingly, my cousin, he's senior to me, and in terms of age, his cousin, but he is almost like half deep. He can't hear completely because his age is almost 60.
Okay.
50 or 60. Somehow he took that Bhagavatam and he started reading day and night now.
Wow.
And then what happened? I mean, it's a flip side or a light part of it. He reads so loudly because he hears himself cannot hear easily. So, and then others are also started hearing because there are common walls. So the walls are so thin in village, typical village.
Yeah.
And then others also started, inquiring what is going on here. Then they also get interested, and some are already there. They also started, and then it's so it's so funny.
Yeah.
He starts so loudly day and night. He starts reading. Suddenly he will wake up at 5. Probably village most of the people wake up 4:30.
Yeah.
He start reading. Then in the evening, even before night, and then others are also sometimes getting irritated. Also, why you are reading so loudly? But anyway, it's a very lighter side. Why it's very interesting. I mean, Prabhupada books are miracle. I mean, I would never imagine. One person who just got hold of Bhagavatam, somehow his destiny. He got Bhagavatam. And then he started reading loudly. And then others are also getting it. And then he is not stopping only.
See, Krishna knows whom to inspire so that he can have a multiplying effect on everybody, right?
Yes.
So amazing. This is all Prabhupada's books.
Very light. His Prabhupada books are. I mean, he's not living only.
Yeah. See? See, that also shows how Krishna likes Prabhupada's books. Right? So he's inspiring like this, sitting in the heart of this man who's slightly hard of hearing, and therefore he will read loud, and that makes everybody else hear. These things, sometimes you take it for granted, but there is so much of intricate things happening behind the scene, we cannot even realize ourselves. Chalo, it's okay. Somehow it's, why do you read so much into that? No. The Lord is so intricate, he can actually, he's so thoughtful into so many things. If you are able to just understand and appreciate that itself is a big thing. So great service, Prabhu, you are doing that way by giving that one Bhagavatam. There you are making the whole village become Krishna conscious. Amazing.
And one learning here is we need not be pessimistic about our capabilities of distributing book because we may not be capable. One or two books, it can change the whole scenario because that is how it is destined to be. I mean, Prabhupada's books are. So I think this is a real thing. We are not able to really distribute the book at massive scale, at least I. But then, somehow it happened and then it has started now.
Yes,
It's
Prabhu.
very interesting.
Very inspiring, very inspiring. If we can, I don't know, we have always been saying this, but somehow, as you rightly said, we're not too good in distributing books, but we should somehow endeavor, do some distribution. How much we can speak is all fine, but if we can simply distribute, we don't know where it is
Hare
reaching.
Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
I'm remembering, Madhvacharya's pastime. When he's, got initiated, they had given one mantra. Then he told, it is very secret mantra. You should not share with, anybody else. He went, at the top of the village, that Stamba or somewhere. Then he chanted that mantra to the whole village. So like that, he sent to his home, and that is spreading, to his cousin and, to the whole family. Correct. So.
Yeah, Ramanujacharya also same thing happened. So like he went and he said you should not tell it others. He went on top of a hill and shouted loudly for the benefit of everyone.
Yes, I remember. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, I hear.
Yes. Nice, Prabhu. Thanks for sharing that. So any other thoughts, any other comments?
No, I'm remembering the in the previous slokas, particularly father of Sita Devi,
Janaka Maharaj.
Janaka Maharaj. So he does for the sake of people.
Yes.
Because he is already a Mahajan.
Yes.
But he is a realized soul. So why he has to work? Because he wants to be a preacher or a model for his next generation.
Yes.
That point wonderful.
Yes, that's what has been talked about in 4.15. Right? They are Krishna conscious and they are already realized, but they will still be following Krishna consciousness.
Yes, that second category as mentioned.
Yes.
Realized.
Yeah. Yes. A nice point, Paul. Any other thoughts? Okay, if nothing, then we will close for this week and continue next week. We will see if we can do some little series. Mataji was requesting, can we do a daily series if possible? Now there's some kind of lockdown. So we will see, we'll let you know if we can do something like that.
Any update on Ankit Prabhu?
Yeah, he is improving, Prabhu. He was very good yesterday. Today I didn't speak to him. Yesterday I spoke to him. He's doing quite good.
Prabhuji, he's fine, So these images, he only creates.
He poster.
Poster. So he's fine. Okay. Nice.
So
only I'm seeing him, only through messages. He was an active reader in another group morning Japa class. They were missing. Every day they were remembering, him.
Yeah.
Any update?
Nice of him, in spite of not keeping well, he continued to do service of this poster for us. Last 2 weeks he has somehow done the poster and shared it nicely in spite of not doing well. So all glories to him. Chandru
Prabhu's family we are not finding, bro. We are missing.
He was here yesterday also. So yeah, they are doing good, Prabhu. Yeah.
No, I didn't speak to him for more than during my initiation we chat each other. That's
okay.
It. Later on, I did not have any association with him.
Yes, you should call up and speak to him that way.
No, you told his father was not well, so
yes.
That way.
Yeah, no, there he is good, but you can, try to speak to them. It's all about devotional life. It's all about we need to keep inspiring each other, see how we can pull people up. So mm, they are doing nice, they are doing all their activities. Somehow they are not able to join these classes, but you can try to inspire them.
Yes, Guru.
Yes, Lord. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Guru.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we will close now for this week. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna.